Welcome to another episode of AgWarriors. Today I'm joined by my good friend, Thunder Family, pretty much OG, one of the OGs, Benjamin Omet from Protexia. Benjamin, how you doing?
I'm doing good today. The sun is shining, the weather's pretty good. Just need to not forget my sunscreen next time, but other than that, pretty good.
Seems to be a pretty prevalent problem when we see each other at outdoor farm shows that you're like, where's Waldo? Where's Benjamin's sunscreen?
I have to match the red shirts, Thunderstruck, you know? That's my way of doing it.
You're certainly going to do that. So, Benjamin, we're going to talk a little bit about what you do with Protexia, but really the point of AgWarriors is just to kind of tell your story. And I think you have an incredible story because you're not from the United States.
No, I am not. By adoption.
It's
no.
your adopted country.
Originally from France.
It's your birth country. So
That's
how
right.
did a guy from France end up in Illinois? I mean, we're at Farm Progress Show, so just so you guys know, we're going to be recording this at a farm show. Protexia's got people here, Thunderstruck has people here, so there may be people walking around. We're not going to stop, hopefully. If we do, Tommy will figure it out. But how did you end up? Tell me, give us a little backstory on you and maybe how you ended up here, because I think it's a really cool story.
It's a long story. Cool. I hope so. I think it's cool.
I think it's cool.
Well, it all started with family, as it often does.
Right.
So my dad created a business more than 30 years ago now, back in France, in my hometown of Le Mans. Known for...
Le Mans? Did I say that right?
Le Mans. Yeah. It's not a big town, but it's world famous for the car race, 24 hours of Le Mans.
Oh, Le Mans.
So
See, that's the American version. It's not Le Mans, like he said. It's Le Mans. The Le Mans 24-hour race.
Exactly.
I'm just kidding. It's probably how you said it, not how I did.
Well, if you want to pretend you're from there, you don't say the S, people. Le Mans.
Le Mans. There you go. I got it.
So anyway, started the business there. I joined the family business when I was younger back in France. Came over here.
Wait a minute. So your dad said, "Welcome to the business, son. We're in this cool French town, but you don't get to stay here. You've got to go to America." Is that how'd that conversation go?
Pretty smooth. I'm an easygoing guy.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
I've always liked to travel a lot, even before, like when I was a teenager, and I just like to go new places that I have not heard of before. So big traveler, and then he said, I have a product that's really cool. I would like to develop it in a country that we are not. We had nothing, 0% in the US. So I came here, I had a contract for 18 months.
You had a visa.
I had a visa, I had a contract for 18 months to stay in the country, develop that business. The plan was for me to go back.
How old were you at this time?
I was 22.
22 years old.
Yeah, I was.
Go to another country. I mean, you have no accent at that point, right? Like, go to another country for 18 months. Good luck, son.
Whatever you think of my accent now, you should have heard me 15 years ago.
I love your accent. I mean, it's one of the things I think that, clearly identifies you as French, and we're in Canada, so we have a whole bunch of French Canadians. So, but anyway, so 22 years old, go to America, and then he sent you to Louisiana, Texas.
Texas, yeah.
Go to Texas.
Houston, Texas.
So, let's just say you get off the plane in Houston. What was that like?
It was awesome. I had everything. Like, I went by myself. I didn't know anybody, but I just figured it out. And I had the office that I rented in a company that was in Houston by myself.
So you just rented an office. Like, hey, I want an office. This would have been 20, you were 22, so was that 10 years ago? How old are you now?
I like that you think I'm that young.
Oh, you're
like
young looking. Okay, we'll call it 10 years ago, but whatever. So it would have been, that would have been like 2000, what year was that?
That was 2009.
Wow, world's a lot different in 2009 than it is in 2023.
For sure, yeah.
But rented an office?
Rented an office, started driving around, developing the business. Everything went according to plan, kind of. And then the big event that changed everything is that I met Elizabeth, who you know really well too. And now we're married, 3 kids, run the business together.
So, tell the truth. Were you a mail order bride for Elizabeth? Is that really how you ended up in America?
Yeah, but now you can't show that podcast anymore. You can't say any of that.
Right. So that's the event that changed everything. Is when you met Elizabeth, because you were only going to be here for 18 months, and then you're going back home, and you were going to work in the family business at home.
Absolutely, help my dad run things over there.
And you had developed, what was the product that you brought over here? Because it was really unique,
so
right?
Originally, and we still have that by the way, but it was not anything to do with ag. It was a plastic membrane, a plastic sheeting that you put under new construction, so a moisture barrier.
Yeah.
That has eco-friendly additive that repels termites.
So that's a huge problem down south. That's why you went to Texas.
And that's why I went to Texas.
Right.
It's a $2 billion per year industry over there. Yeah.
And so that's what brought you here, and that's what you were doing when you met Elizabeth.
Correct. Yeah. And then
how did that go? Did you be like, hey, I'm from France and I sell termite repellent. How you doing?
No, we had friends in common. It just happened naturally, you know. And my dad came to visit me right before I was supposed to go back, just to kind of do the conclusion and like draw the
put a bow on it, say your time in America's done.
This is what we've done. This is what we can show for it, and now it's time to come back and manage the business in Europe.
Right.
And so he came to do that, and that's when he met her as well, and he saw us together, and he told me, you know, son, if I was you, I would just stay here with her.
Don't leave. You found a good one.
Yeah.
Stay here.
Which I really appreciated at the time, because I don't know what I would have done if he would have asked me to go back. You know,
right.
I think I would have ended up staying here, but it would have been much harder without his support.
Right. Because your family, like that's one of the things, your family's very close, right? It has been all through your childhood.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And they're all still over there in Europe, but yeah, I had a dream childhood, you know. Not as often as I'd like, especially since COVID.
Right.
Before then, we tried to go back at least once a year, but then we couldn't go for France was one of the worst countries for
other than
COVID
Canada.
regulations.
Just kidding, I didn't say that.
So we couldn't even go there for 2.5 years, and they couldn't come either. So they didn't see the grandkids or anything. And now it's better. Now we can go back. We just don't, because we don't have time.
You have no time to go back. So that's kind of the next part of your story. So you met Elizabeth, and you guys decided, because your family wasn't just in plastic to repel termites, they were doing other things in ag in Europe.
Yeah, so back in Europe, we have business in like 11 or 12 countries, and about almost half of what we do is ag. And so when I decided to stay here, that's when we thought with my dad, you know, like, what can we do? You have to develop a bigger business, a bigger range, everything.
The termite business is not big enough for you to stay over here.
Go with the ag. Start talking about our ag products, and right at that time is also when we started developing other innovative products.
Yep.
So that kind of fit really well in this market that didn't have it yet.
So when you were in the business in Europe, your dad was in ag, but you weren't doing a lot in ag, really, right? Because you were going to school, and then you pretty much went from school to Texas.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth also had never been in ag.
No.
Right, because she was in a completely different industry, and maybe someday, like, that's the deal, folks. We really wanted Elizabeth too, but getting her on this podcast will be harder than getting pretty much any celebrity you could think of. She will not come on here. Maybe she will.
Harder than the other Elizabeth, the queen.
The queen,
the queen of England.
Rest in peace. Yes, the king.
Yeah, the king. You're right.
Anyway, so that's where I think part of what makes your story so cool, and how I can relate a little bit, is I wasn't in ag either, and you guys decided to get into ag and bring a plastic over that was a better quality, but that people hadn't really seen before.
Oh no, not at all.
What was that first? Like, tell me about your first visit. The first time you went to talk to somebody about this new product.
That was funny. That was with just a couple of farmers down in Texas, outside of Houston, and yeah, I remember exactly how it was. It was funny. They didn't really react to what we were saying, which I wouldn't either, you know.
Right.
Somebody says something, you have no idea what they're talking about. Half the time you can't understand the guy anyway.
Right.
So
Was it you and Elizabeth that went to that first visit?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was in a farm, hay farmers outside of Houston.
And did they buy anything?
Oh no.
No. How much?
It took a while for us to actually sell some stuff.
So how many visits did you do before you even sold your first product? And what year did you start doing Protexia in the United
So
States?
the actual ag side, Protexia itself, we started in 2016.
2016.
So much after.
And how much did you sell in 2016?
I mean, we gave away some stuff, but
There was no
actual sale, we did, I think, 5 rolls. I mean, it was
5 rolls of wrap.
Insignificant. Yeah.
Right. And so you had come over here and you're now over here trying to establish the family business into the United States, and it's a battle. What did your dad, like, because I think this is something unique, and maybe not everybody has that support. A lot of people's parents maybe would have pulled the plug and said, all right, bring your wife, move back to France. What did your dad say when you said, Dad, like, I'm struggling?
I don't think he ever thought I was struggling. I think he knew all along that it was something that was going to take some time. The thing is, he went through the exact same thing when
Right.
he was younger and he launched everything in Europe. You know, like, this is one of the first things he told me when we started. It's like, it's not going to be overnight, you know?
Right.
Like, you need to put in the work and work countless hours and really hard, but don't expect it to be something that you're going to make a quick buck and that, you know, it's something that's going to be built over time.
So-
right from the beginning, this was something that was put it deep in me, you know?
So how did he encourage you throughout that first year, 2 years as you were going? What were some of the things that he just remind you of that this isn't going to be easy? Or
Yeah, constantly. And it's also about celebrating what you can celebrate, you know? Like, I remember that the first ever sale that we did,
Yeah. Who was it?
a couple of teacher farmers in Michigan.
Teacher farmers in Michigan. So the
Yeah.
first sale,
Retired teachers.
retired teachers doing some farming, first sale in Michigan. What was that like? Were you still in Houston at that time?
Yes.
Yeah?
And so we did make that sale. And the next time we saw my father, which was shortly after, because we went back to France right after that, and he welcomed us and he opened the bottle of champagne.
Wow. How much did they buy?
It was 2 rolls. It was like,
Two.
I mean, with the price it was at the time, it was like a $150 sale, you know.
Right. And he
But my point is, it was our first sale, and that's how he encouraged us. You
that's
know?
a great lesson, is to celebrate all of the wins, not just the big ones.
Of course, celebrate at the scale that you're at, you know.
Right.
When you start out, it's important to give encouragement to, and he did that as a, like from the company, but also to his son and daughter-in-law, you know.
Right. Oh,
So,
that's super cool. That's
Even now, we still talk about it sometimes, how good it was for us to be pushed in the right direction and encouraged like that for something that, if you look at numbers, it was really nothing, you know.
right. Yeah, in the grand scheme of dollars and revenue, it was nothing, but in the grand scheme of building a business, it was very significant.
It's a milestone. The first,
Yep.
when you start a business, the first sale you make, everybody remembers it. I'm sure you do.
I remember mine too. Well, my first sale for Thunderstruck, I absolutely remember. It was actually in oil and gas, and it was a belt tensioner, believe it or not. But I remember Tundra Oil and Gas. They wrote me a purchase order for 5 of them, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And I think it was like, it wasn't big dollars either. It was maybe 20 grand or something.
Uh-huh.
But I remember the first ag equipment sale for Thunderstruck was a spoked gauge wheel, and I had this farmer just call me out of nowhere, and him and 5 neighbors got together and ordered, like, I don't know how many wheels it was, and I was like running around the office like, woo, we could eat. We might be able to go out. We're going to Denny's. No. So, okay, so that's 2016, 2017. Things started to change a little bit for you, right? I mean, it wasn't huge, but you went, that's where we first met was in 2017 at the...
18.
Was it 18?
I think we met in 18.
Okay.
17 was a big change for us because that's when we moved out of Texas.
Right, so you moved, everybody's moving to Texas now, and you guys are like, we're moving out of Texas.
That was 100% business related.
Needed to be more central?
So when we started, we had only one SKU.
Right.
In terms of ag products, and so we realized pretty early that we had a big pocket of customers that was in the Midwest.
Yep.
Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, and so we decided to move there to be close and to be able to travel kind of faster, you know, because from Houston you want to meet a potential customer in Wisconsin or Illinois, you just have to take the plane.
You bet.
You know.
You bet.
So that's what we did, and it was, for the business, it was a great choice, helped us out a lot. Life-wise, we can discuss. So it's fine, you know. We're together,
so you took the Texan out of Texas.
That's
yeah?
right. Yeah.
You said, hey, we're moving to Chicago, and we're going from there.
Yeah, that's it. We took the car, drove up, and found the house in just a couple of days.
Yeah. When you started, you had one SKU. What SKU number is the hay tarps?
Oh, I honestly don't know. I think we're about between 400 and 500 now.
400 and 500 SKUs. Wow, it's incredible. So, Bob, do you mind moving just a little bit further? Yeah, or go into the shade in the trailer.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. And that's such a cool thing. Like, you think about it, 30 minutes ago, 45 minutes ago, this couple stopped by, spent 15 minutes with you, talking about one of your products, and they're back to write an order. And you worked 2 years to get an order before. That was 15 minutes. How cool is that? Like, celebrate that.
Yeah, that's true. I'm having a hard time celebrating. It's just not my personality. I like to look forward and not backwards, and Elizabeth is helping me with that also. But
it's one of the things. It was something I've learned in this course that I'm taking, and I think I've shared this with you before. But it's about not living in the gap. In the gap, you know, and I think that's why I said your dad's lesson is so cool, because the gap is from where you are to where you want to go, or where you think you want to go, and how that gap's always changing. And that's where we all live, is we're sitting there always trying to get somewhere, and we're disappointed because we're never there. And sometimes that place we're trying to get is changing, whether that's in life or whether that's in business or whatever it is, it's changing. And so we don't get there, and then we're disappointed, and we forget to look back to where we started and the gain that's been made. And I think that's something, that's your dad's lesson. Obviously, it's a good thing Elizabeth is helping you with that, because you need somebody to say, hey, it's pretty cool what just happened.
That's true, yeah. And it's important to have a goal, and when you do reach it, to acknowledge that and realize that.
And then move on quickly to the next goal.
That's what I do. But I mean, you need to have both, right?
Right.
You can't really rest on your laurels.
No.
Otherwise, you don't move forward, and if you don't move forward, you kind of move backwards. But it's
You're not
important.
growing, you're dying.
It's important to take a moment to kind of also celebrate what you can, because the goals change.
Absolutely.
You know, so
the goal when you were in 2016 and the goal in 2023, I imagine, are significantly different.
Yeah, of course.
So what caused this? Like, what happened? What can you look back and say, this is the moment when we knew that this was going to be something? Was that Louisville 2018? Because up till that point, you hadn't sold a lot.
Yeah, but I don't think, especially in our industry, you can define everything with sales.
Right.
I think right from the beginning, and maybe it's my dad that put that in me too, but right from the beginning I knew it. The potential was there, you know, and the fact that sales came took a little time to come, didn't really affect that. So Louisville 2018 was definitely something, But at the same time, I don't think we were realizing really what we were doing. You know, everybody was like, "Yeah, you need to wait 10 years to be in that show. It's really for the big guys."
Right.
And we were just calling everybody and, "Hey, do you have a spot?"
Oh,
and I drove down there. Arrived the first time. It was like
and
11 p.m. or
you
something.
poor people, you were stuck next to us. Eh? They're like, these people, we're gonna put them next to Thunderstruck. That'll teach them something.
That was a blessing.
Oh, well, I don't know. I count it as a blessing. I certainly, and that's why I wanted to have you on here, is because I remember that vividly, that first show, and you and Elizabeth. I mean, yellow's clearly a very favorite color of the company. You were in all yellow. I mean, all yellow and blue are your colors,
oh, yeah.
but you were in all yellow. And I was thinking, oh my God, who are these people, right? And then we met you, and I got to see you guys in action, and how, I mean, it's such a little thing, but it's a yes, sir, no, ma'am, thank you. Just the way you treated every single customer like they might be your last, right? And how hungry you were, and the belief that you had in your products. And I thought, and at that point, I mean, I don't even know, in 2018, had you sold a container yet?
Yes, yeah. 2018 was the year that we signed our first big distributor, like multiple container loads. But you know,
and was that before Louisville or after Louisville?
It was in the pipes.
Right, it was already in the work.
Yeah,
in the works.
We had started doing that before, but it took a few meetings, you know. But that was in the pipes. But for us, we always knew that we were gonna go somewhere, for sure. We
just didn't know where.
We knew where you wanted. No, we knew where we wanted to go. But what did change a lot is how to get there.
Tell me about that. Tell me about
the business model that we had for our company is completely different now than what it was.
What made you change?
Just market knowledge. At first, because I think when you run a business, you have to have a business model. You have to have a direction you're going towards.
A goal.
Right? But then as you go there, it's okay to realize that sometimes maybe it's not the best path to get where you want to be.
Right.
So yeah, we changed at least twice or three times of business model. I mean, at first we wanted to sell only, you know, by the container load, having bigger accounts, kind of covering the territory. And now we are here and we sell. I mean, we are a distributor ourselves. We sell retail. We sell.
Why is that? Why did you change? What was the thing that was like, this ain't working. We can do this better, differently. How are we going to do this?
I think the main thing is that it all comes from our products, because they are different.
Right.
And if you go through a bigger account in a way, you kind of lose a little bit of information in translation.
Yep.
If you talk directly to the customer that has the product in their hands, just like you do, just like we're doing here at the show, it speaks to them immediately, you know?
Catch it with your mouth, sorry.
I think we can have a better impact, better reach on people that we can talk to directly.
I think, because I remember when we first talked, you're like, no, it's distributors, that's the way to go. But I also think it has something to do with the level of service that you guys offer. And I don't know that many people match that level of care, that level of attention. I mean, literally, there's people that come up to the show and you guys remember their names. I mean, that are existing customers. And I just don't know that level is the same level that everybody offers.
That's what we want to do, so I'm really glad that it's happening. But yeah, I think the further removed you are from the end user, and the less impact you can have on that end user, which at the end of the day, the most important person in our businesses is the farmer.
They're the ones that write the checks.
Our products, you know.
So
having the best impact on the most important person, that's how we think we are doing right now. But who knows? Maybe 2 years from now we'll do something different. I don't know.
Well, I think that's a big part of business as well, is just understanding that we're going this way, but this isn't necessarily the way we're always going to go, and being adaptable to say, you know what, we've learned, we were going this way, we learned some things. Now, actually, that's the best way. And then having the ability to change and to think outside the box and do that, I think that's huge.
Absolutely. I think it's vital when you own a business. It's something that you have to have.
Right.
If you remain, I don't want to say stuck, but if you remain blocked in without being able to pivot like that at any times, I don't think it's good for a business.
I think that there's maybe it's because it's just ingrained in us, but they always talked about, I remember when I was younger and he's hearing people talk about how you run a race and you put your blinders on and you just focus ahead. And I think that there's times where you have to just put your blinders on and run ahead. But I think as soon as you put your blinders on, you miss opportunities and things over here. And I think that maybe that's just it's a trap that we fall into. Is like, no, it's just full speed ahead without really looking around at times.
No, I agree. And it's all about timing, Like when you decide to go in a direction, you have to see it through kind of. You can't just change your mind every 5 minutes, So for us with Ag, the seasonality is important, and it allows us to kind of make changes as we go too. Like, we know that spring, summer, fall is always really big, and then in the winter, that's when you kind of
take a breath,
take a look back and, okay, this was good, this we can do better.
Right. You're probably always doing that, and Elizabeth is just like, give me some time. Give me a minute.
Well, Protexia would be nothing without her, I can tell you.
I know.
That, so.
She's amazing and a big part of your success. Now, when you came, you were the only Omet in America. You're not the only Omet anymore, right? You've got Elizabeth.
We're married.
You're married, and you've got 3 kids.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there another switch for that car?
Yeah, it's right underneath. You got to turn it back on. Again, no, right under the dash. It's just a switch. Turn it on. Ask TJ if you need to, or Terry. They can all figure it out. Over to the right. Turn that switch on. There you go. When you do a podcast at a farm show, things are going to happen. But so, being a dad, how's that changed things for you?
I don't think it changed anything.
Not business-wise, just as a, obviously changes you when you become a dad.
Yeah, you're right, but I've always been a dad in my head. I think even when I was younger, I was like, I just love it. I just love it being a dad. It's amazing.
And you're not only a dad, you have 2 boys, but you also have a daughter now.
Yeah.
How's that? Are you a different dad to your boys than you are your girl?
Oh yeah, of course. I try to be as fair as I can, but
Coco gets the world.
I'm definitely sweeter with her. Like I'm gonna give you an example. When the boys mess with her, I'm gonna go after them.
Right.
I tell them it's not fair. She's your sister. Always be sweet with her. When she messes with them, I just watch and laugh. And let me tell you, she's the boss at home.
Takes after her mother, there's no doubt.
Oh yeah, they're funny.
So fast forward now, you've been working, you've got a family, things have exploded for you in North America. Exploded is not even probably, did you expect in 5, like it's basically total of 7, but really 5 years since you started selling, did you expect to be, you have, how many different warehouses do you have?
We have two huge ones one in Illinois, one in Indiana. And we are hiring people, we are getting really like...
Yeah, you've got more, it's more than just you and Elizabeth. For a long time
recently, it was just the 2 of us. Yeah.
Like real recently?
Well, yeah, about 18 months.
Right, well that's when you hired your first employee.
Until 18 months, then we had 1 employee, we stayed the 3 of us for about a year. And this year, now we hired 3 more people. So it's starting to look like a real company.
Well, it's a little different. At the beginning, I remember calling you and you'd be like, yeah, I'm on the forklift, I'm loading a truck. Or,
oh, yeah.
Or you didn't answer the phone because you were on the phone with the customer. Like literally, you guys did everything.
And this is why we can be here right now at this show too.
Because we have people.
We have somebody at the warehouse that can ship out stuff, and
you got somebody in the office taking orders.
Absolutely. So it changes a little bit, but we've always tried, even when we were just the two of us and a smaller size, we've always tried to think as if and put in place
Just
a
like you were
structure.
always a dad, you were always a bigger company?
Yes, and try to put a structure in place that would allow us to grow with,
Right.
And so we knew that the moment we had more orders coming in, that we wouldn't be completely overwhelmed.
Right.
So
That's super. That's a rare thing, because I think that as we have grown, there's been times where I've been overwhelmed, where I'm like, oh, shit, now what am I going to do? So, good for you. So what's next? Because you are always looking ahead. What's next in the Omet plan, or the Protexia plan for
well, I
North
can tell
America?
you what's not next.
What's
It's
not next?
Another kid. That's not
Kids
next.
are off the table. That's done. You've taken care of that, have you?
Yeah, we're done with that. So we have enough.
You got 2 boys, you got your girl.
Exactly.
You're done.
What's next for us as a business? It would be, I think, opening another location is in the plans, just because we started with one. We kind of did the test with the second one. It's worked out better than we could have imagined. So kind of replicating this model is
Are you
something
going to go
we would like to do.
franchise?
Not franchise, no. We'd like to keep everything in-house.
Okay.
Yeah. Franchising would be losing control a little bit, just like it would be losing control to not be in touch with the end user.
Right.
So never say never, of course, but right now we're not thinking about that.
So a 3rd location.
So a 3rd location. And then now that we have more time, that I'm not on the forklift anymore, Elizabeth is not wrapping pallets anymore in the warehouse. So now we have more time to be in touch with our current customers and grow with them.
Right.
Because some of the customers that we have that are some of the most successful are people that didn't used to sell our products or use our products, and they started to and grew with us.
Right.
Allowing their own business to grow because of the advantages they had over their competition in their area with our products. So that's something that has been really good for us, is to identify people that had the same mentality as us and allow them to grow
Right.
with our products.
And
that takes some time,
I was just going to say, and that's something that you haven't had the time to do before.
or at least not a lot.
Not as much as you would have liked.
Exactly, and that's something that, the more we talk to people and the more we can make them realize that this is the way to go.
So what's next for the Omets? Like, I think clearly we can fast forward 25, 30 years. Joey's going to be the president of the United States. I'm pretty sure of that. But other than having a future president in your household, what's next for the Omets as your family? Like, what's the big thing? Have you thought
I'm
about
not exactly sure, no. We know we want to travel.
Right.
Just like I did when I was a kid. I think it's really important, keeping an open mind, making them realize that we are not the center of the world, that there's a lot out there that they don't know about, even I don't know about. So that's definitely a value that we want to ingrain in them, traveling a lot.
It's so hard because it happens to me all the time. Whenever I fly into a big city, and I just flew into Seattle and flew back, and I looked around and I thought, man, in my own head, everything is like so important. But in my life, in my world, and what is so important to me, none of these people even know I exist. Like, it's like remembering to take care of your people and take care of your family, but really...
Exactly. But it's hard to do.
Oh.
And a lot of people can't really handle it. It's always a balance between like taking care of your own family and giving them the attention and the importance that they deserve, always, but also realizing that we're just small.
We're just ants.
We're just like, we have to know that
there's 7 billion of us.
And the person that I'm gonna meet this afternoon that farms 50 acres around here that I've never met before, he's as important as me. And I'm gonna give him the attention he deserves.
Yeah, wow. That's just
it's a balance, always.
Yeah, of course. That's incredible. So one of the things, and I didn't prepare you for this, but one of the things I've asked everybody on the podcast, it's called AgWarriors. If you had to have a weapon.
A what?
A weapon.
A weapon.
A
Okay.
weapon. If you were to have a weapon, what would Benjamin Omet's weapon of choice be? Don't say something silly like your jump shot or your sky hook. I know you're a basketball guy, but or let's do two. What's your weapon of choice if you're in a battle? And in a basketball game, if you were playing me in a basketball game, how would you, like, knowing that I'm physical?
I used to be a point guard always.
Me too.
So when I was playing, I would say my main strength was speed, dribbling, and passing the ball too, like vision, how fast I can see the court. And then in terms of weapon, that I've never thought of.
So vision is your vision or basketball IQ, because you're a huge basketball guy. If you're in a basketball game, that's not going to help you beat me, because I'm just going to post you up. I'm bigger than you. I'm going to push you around. We've never had the basketball game. Weapon. Is it nothing?
Something like probably more a knife than a gun, I think.
Right, hand to hand.
Maybe even more long, like a sword or a saber or something like that.
Quick Dick was a sickle. He wanted a sickle as a weapon.
I don't even know what that means.
That's like that round thing that I think they used to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was going prehistoric with a sickle.
Got it.
A sword, like a samurai sword or like a broadsword.
Like something really sharp that would cut without too much effort, you know?
I wanted a baseball bat, like, let's get in. Let's get in close. We're gonna battle.
Yeah, I would say a sword. Yeah,
okay.
let's stay on the sword.
There you are. Well, Benjamin, I appreciate you just doing this. I hope that you guys learned some stuff about Benjamin and just about life. What's one thing that, we'll call you 32, even though we know it's not that, it's probably like 35, but what is one thing that 35-year-old Benjamin would tell 20-year-old Benjamin? Looking back, what would you tell your younger self?
Just keep doing what you're doing. I have zero regrets in life.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Whatever happens for a reason. I mean, look at me. I have a life and a wife that I love and 3 kids here in a country that's 8,000 miles away from my hometown. Who could have thought that? Anything can happen. Just the only thing you can control is work hard and do the right thing. The rest is just fate.
It's amazing. You guys heard it here. Work hard, do the right thing. Everything else is fate.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Benjamin.